It was the end of the Korean War. As soldiers returned home, the New York Times dropped a bombshell. Some GI captives fear converted was the headline. It was the government's biggest nightmare come true. American prisoners of war were coming home converted by communist brainwashers. The story kicked the CIA into high gear. Just weeks into his job as CIA director, Alan Dulles approved one of the biggest mind control experiments known to man. Codename MK Ultra. The goal was to manipulate the minds through electroshock therapy, hypnosis, even psychedelic drugs like LSD. And they picked their guinea pigs from military bases, college campuses, hospitals, prisons. Former crime boss Whitey Bulger described his experience as, quote, hallucinating, hours of paranoia and feeling violent, guys turning to skeletons in front of me. I saw a camera change into the head of a dog. I felt like I was going insane. These experiments lasted for 2 decades with hundreds of victims. Now, Democrats want to make mind control great again. Just the other day, Hillary Clinton recently said, we have to deprogram you. And this weekend, the deprogramming officially commenced. Martha Raddatz with ABC grabbed a few Trump supporters off the street, threw them all into a room together and observed them in their natural habitat.
New Hampshire's primary results do appear to have cemented Donald Trump's grip on the Republican Party. So we sat down with 3 of his staunchest supporters in Allentown, Pennsylvania this week to see what drives their devotion to the former president. This is not a fact check on their beliefs. There's no changing their minds.
They are the definition of diehard Trump supporters.
The way Raddatz described Trump supporters kind of makes me expect to see a bunch of animal skin-draped militia members with muskets and MAGA hats. We just saw normal Republicans who appreciated Trump's policies. Martha Raddatz, whose idea of a Republican's Chris Christie on Sunday, was still stunned. They couldn't be deprogrammed. She admits she was just there to diagnose them.
Here's this guy coming down the escalator, a rich guy, married 3 times, pretty foul mouth. What was it and what is it about him?
Has he made mistakes? Oh my goodness, yes. But I do believe that his heart's in the right place for me. How many presidents, how many politicians have come out on stage and hugged the American flag? That really means something to me.
You said something that interested me, which is Donald Trump cares about me.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, the common man. I really think he has a heart for the common man. I really do.
The man says Trump cares about me, and Raddatz says, what do you mean by that? A president who cares about Americans appears to be a foreign concept for a Washington journalist. Raddatz prefers presidents who care about foreigners. And the interrogation continued.
Having him elected back into office is the step that we need to take to make this country great.
And what was wrong with the country?
To me, what's wrong with the country is we're under financial tyranny, we're under corporate tyranny.
What does that mean? Explain that to me.
I mean that we're overtaxed. It's hyper-taxation.
And you think Donald Trump can change that? And do you blame Joe Biden for that?
Well, I don't blame Joe Biden. I blame his failed policies. Just because the S&P 500 is at an all-time high doesn't mean that gas isn't higher than it was several years ago. I run a restaurant, so the cost of beef went up 5 to 6%.
Now, this puzzles Martha, a restaurant owner having an opinion about the economy in an election year. What do peasants know about the economy? Your opinion only counts if you have a PhD. Now, what's next? You're going to say gas is too expensive? Well, Jay Leno says, why should we listen to truck drivers about the price of gas?
I think he's done a really good job with the economy. But you have people now who just, if someone says the economy is terrible, it is. This is the one thing I love about America now. We're the only place in the world. If you go to Europe, we wanted to talk about the economy. So we went to the University of Economics department. We went to a truck stop in Lima, Ohio. You know, here in America, you go to the truck stop, you talk to the guy and hear what he has. I would rather have an expert, you know.
Well, economists have predicted 9 out of the last 5 recessions. Why wouldn't Leno listen to them? Lawrence Peter famously said, "An economist is an expert who will know tomorrow why the things he predicted yesterday didn't happen today." So truck drivers and restaurant owners shouldn't be listened to or cared about. The experts will tell them how to feel. They say you're better off. You are. If they say Biden's a young man trapped in an old man's body, he is.
We've all spent time with Biden, spent time with him. It's 3 hours on photo lines, on 3 events a day, then giving speeches. Are you kidding? At 80 years old to be in that kind of health? I have no issues whatsoever. And by the way, I'm an old-fashioned guy. You know, I think Bobby Kennedy said it best. What the world needs are the qualities of youth, not a time of life, a state of mind, a quality of imagination. That's Joe Biden.
Did Newsom just say age is just a number? Because that's just a pickup line for old guys. What are these youthful qualities of Joe Biden?
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
Now, if Gavin says those are the qualities of youth, don't believe your eyes. He is the expert. And when Biden gets heckled at every event, don't believe your eyes. They're really Russian plants.
I think some of these protesters are spontaneous and organic and sincere. Some, I think, are connected to Russia. And I say that having looked at this for a long time now, as you know.
You think some of these protests are Russian plants?
I don't think they're plants. I think some financing should be investigated. And I want to ask the FBI to investigate that.
Don't you see, Biden's really young and popular. And if you protest him, you're a domestic terrorist who the FBI will visit. So don't believe your eyes. Don't do your own research. Sit back and make yourself comfortable while the media spoon feeds you the approved storyline.
You seem to trust journalists more than I do.
I trust certain journalists, yeah.
Yeah, I do. Certain ones I do. Yeah. Not a lot. And
not a lot?
No. And everything I read, whatever source, it's only half the truth. They print the narrative. They don't print truth.
That's a generalization, though.
Well, it is, but it's because it's generally true.
By the way, that's exactly what Donald Trump wants. What you just said is exactly what he wants.
It doesn't matter.
Don't trust the reporters.
Okay.
Don't trust the journalists.
Well, Hitler was a vegetarian. Doesn't mean I'm like Donald Trump. But they print the half that they want. That is going to make people like you, who are a partisan, very partisan. You want to read something that, that makes me feel good.
You hear that? Democrats would rather be wrong than agree with Trump. When Trump says, don't believe everything you read in the media, the Democrats don't say, yeah, I kind of agree. They say, you must believe everything you read in the media. The Democrats don't want you to have your own opinion because they're not allowed to have their own. Democrats are scornful because they're jealous that you're a free thinker. They're projecting. I wrote about this in How I Saved the World. You have to save yourself before you can go around and start saving everyone else. The deprogramming starts here.
These blue bubbles where everyone's gone insane. Well, I used to be a part of the blue bubble. I was 100% a left-leaning person who lived in Los Angeles. At the end of the day, I'm way more left than I am right. But California went nuts, man. It's gone like full communist. It's out of its mind. They ruined the city.
I'm in the middle now.
I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle.
I never thought I would ever say that.
Never. They're in a cult. They're in a cult.
The American people really haven't changed at all. We like low crime and low prices, and we like politicians who listen to us and love the country. We always have, and we always will. It's the left that's changed. And just because our minds can't be changed about what makes America great doesn't mean we're in a cult. It just means we're right, and always have been.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.